Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Dragon Family. This is Story Time with Palak, and today's topic is Through the Looking Glass House. Yes, this is not a poetry, but a book. And this was written by Lewis Carroll. So let's talk about the poet first. Charles Whitridge Dodson, 1832 to 1898, better known by his pen name Lewis Carroll. He was an English author, poet, and a mathematician. His most notable works are Alice's Adventure in Wonderland, which was written in 1865, and its sequel, Through the Looking Glass, in 1871. He was noted for his facility with words play, logic, and fantasy. His poems, Jabberwocky, written in 1871, and The Hunting of the Snark in 1876, are classified in the genre of literary nonsense. Carroll came from a family of high church Anglicans and developed a long relationship with Christ Church, Oxford, where he lived for most of his life as a scholar and teacher. Alice Liddell, daughter of Christ Church's Dean Henry Liddell, is widely identified as the original inspiration for Alice in Wonderland, though Carroll always denied this. An avid puzzler, Carroll created the world's ladder puzzle, which he then called Tuplets, which he published in his weekly column for Vanity Fair magazine between 1879 and 1881. In 1982, a memorial stone to Carroll was unveiled at Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey. There are societies in many parts of the world dedicated to the enjoyment and promotion of his work. Now let's talk about the poem, Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There, also known as Alice Through the Looking Glass or simple Through the Looking Glass, is a novel published on 27th December 1821 by Lewis Carroll and the sequel of Alice's Adventure in Wonderland, written in 1865. In this novel, we see that Alice again enters a fantastical world, this time by climbing through a mirror into the world, that she can see beyond it. There she finds that, just like a reflection, everything is reversed, including logic. For example, running helps one remain stationary. Walking away from something brings one towards it. Gentlemen are alive, nursery rhyme characters exist, and so on. Now, there is a thing. Let me tell you one thing, or you tell me one thing. When we talk about nursery rhymes, who are the characters which comes in front of you? Tell me in the comment section down below. Let's move on. Now, as you can see, every rhyme in the Looking Glass House are somehow related to fishes. So yeah, when we read about it more and we go forward in this, we will see a lot of poetry, though I haven't done any of the poetry in summary, which will make it very long. So I avoided all the poetry, but if you read the novel by yourself, you will find a lot of poetry, and they are all about fishes. Not actually about fishes, but yeah, fishes are in a poetry. So as you can see in here, the White Queen, who is about 101 years, 5 days, and I am sorry, it wasn't supposed to be a year old, but yeah, who is 101 years and 5 days old. First turns into a ship and then a king. The Red Queen is believed to be dreaming everything that is happening to Alice in the Looking Glass house. So when we read towards, when we read it above, so you can see that Alice encounters the Red King, who is in his deep slumber. And then she finds out that she, Alice, is inside the dream of the Red King. Now, what happens next? You have to stay tuned for it. So now let's move forward as it is taking very long time. Yeah, and one more thing, I'm going to publish, not publish but upload. I'm going to upload this chapter per chapter because it has 12 chapters in it and I won't be able to tell you about it all at once, so I have to tell you bit by bit. So let's start with chapter 1, Looking Glass House. Now, it's a long story, yeah. I tried to shorten it a bit, but just because it was the first chapter, I had to make sure that you guys understand it as brief as possible, but still, I made it a little longer. Yeah, so anyway, let's start. The story starts with a speaker, that is Lewis Carroll, telling us that something mischievous took place which has nothing to do with the white kitten. So, right now we have a room, and inside it, some mischievous has already taken place, and the white kitten is not quality. The white kitten, whose name is Snowdrop, has having its face washed by her mother, Dina, for the last 15 minutes. So it was clear that wasn't Snowdrop's fault. Now we have a mother and daughter kitten. Not actually daughter, I can't say that it's a daughter. It's a kitten. Dina's way of washing her children was this. Now let us see how Dina washes her children. First, she held the kitten down by its ears with one paw and then rubbed their face with the other one, the wrong way beginning with the nose. But she was quite hard working with her task of washing Snowdrop, who was lying still and trying to purr. No doubt it was for its own good. Alice was resting in a corner of her home in a great armchair, half asleep and half murmuring to herself, when the black kitten named Kitty was playing a game of unwinding Alice's wool ball. Now we have followed our criminal. So as you can see, when we first read about it, there was some mischievous that took place in the room. And this kitten named Kitty was the one behind all of this. So now Kitty had been done with washing in the afternoon. So the mischief mentioned earlier was entirely Kitty's fault. After spreading it all over the hearthrug, a hearthrug was laid in front of a fireplace. The little kitty started to chase her own tail. Alice catches the kitten, calling it a wicked thing, and gives it a little kiss for it to understand that it was in disgrace. She then scolds Tina for not teaching Kitty proper manners, and then she approaches her armchair, taking the kitty, and then she began winding the ball again. As she was winding up the yarn, she started talking to herself and the kitten who was sitting on her lap and was very focused on the ball. She told Kitty how she was watching the boys gathering sticks for a bonfire from the window, and how the boys left because it snowed and the weather got colder. She also reassures the kitten that they will see the bonfire tomorrow. As she was talking, the yarn rolled down again upon the floor. Alice, who got very angry, settled again and told Kitty that she was about to throw it out of the window when she saw all of its mischief. She now started counting all of Kitty's mistakes. Number one was the small kitten squeaked twice when its mother Dina was washing its face. She pretends that the kitten is telling her that Dina's paw went into its eye and suggests that it should have closed its eyes. Now, you see, Alice has something like we all have this imaginations when we say suppose, let's pretend. So yeah, Alice is doing the same thing. She just pretends everything is talking to her. And right now, Kitty is talking to her. Now she counts number two. Number two was when Alice put down the saucer of milk in front of Snowdrop, Kitty's sister. Kitty pulled it by its tail with the excuse of being thirsty. Now Alice explains that Kitty pulled Snowdrop by its tail and drank its milk, claiming that she was thirsty or he was thirsty. Number three was the kitten unfolded every bit of the worsted while Alice wasn't looking. Now you see here is a word written worsted. Now worsted is also a yarn. Worsted is actually a very good quality of yarn. So while Alice wasn't looking further, she adds that she is craving all of Kitty's punishment for the next Wednesday. Alice again starts talking to herself and the kitten about how the winter snow covers everything around it as if kissing it gently, or how the summer feels like the trees are dressed in green and dance whenever the wind blows. Aside from that topic, Alice went on again with her dark talks. But this time she asks Kitty whether she can play. It can play, sorry. It can play chess as because the little thing would when she said check. She tells Kitty, let's pretend. That's her favorite phrase. As I mentioned earlier, Kitty is the red queen. Alice is pretending right now that Kitty is the red queen and got the red queen from the table and set it up before the kitten for it to imitate. However, the king didn't succeed. So as a punishment, she held the kitten in front of the looking glass and told it that she would put it through into the looking glass house. Now Alice is starting to describe to Kitty what a looking glass house actually is. She tells that there is another world inside the looking glass house, which is the complete opposite of the real world. She again starts her pretend game and tells Kitty to imagine there a way to enter the looking glass house. As she was going on and on and on, she saw some sort of mist on the glass, and before she knew, she was up on the chimney piece, and the glass began to melt away just like a bright silvery mist. Now here the adventure starts. In another moment, Alice was through the glass and had jumped down from the looking glass room. The first thing she looked for was whether there was a fire in the fireplace and was quite pleased to find that there was a real fire. Now, this fire thing is written in the book actually. I haven't noted it down in here because a summary is supposed to be short. Although it is in no, it's not short enough. It is supposed to be a page or two, but it isn't short. It's a very long summary. But anyway, let me tell you about the fireplace. So when Alice tells Kitty about the mirror glass world, she tells her that the looking glass world doesn't have fire in it. So that's Alice's imagination. Hmm. The first thing she looked for was whether there was a fire in the fireplace and was quite pleased to find that there was a real fire, so her imagination failed. As she warmed herself in the fireplace, she thinks how no one would be able to scold her here and how bewildered they would be to find out that she has gotten inside of a mirror world. As she wanders around the house, she discovers that old room was quite common and boring, but the rest of all was different. For instance, the picture on the wall next to the fire seemed to be alive, and the clock on the chimney-piece got the face of a little old man and grinned at Alice. Let me ask you one thing. The clock on the chimney-piece got the face of a little old man. Can you imagine it? Any character of Disney is do you visualize it? Tell me in the comment section down below. Now, she notices several chess pieces down in the hearth among the cinders. She was surprised as soon as she bent down on her hands and knees watching them. The chessmen were walking. Alice whispers to herself in order not to frighten them. Here are the Red King and the Red Queen, and there are the White King and White Queen sitting on the edge of the shovel, and here are two castles walking arm in arm. As she keeps whispering to herself, she realizes one thing that the Gisman can neither hear nor see her as if she were invisible. As Alice was focused on observing the chess pieces, something began squeaking on the table behind her. She turned her head to see one of the white pawns roll over and begin kicking. She was curious as to what will happen next. Hearing the voice, the white queen rushed past the king, violently knocking out the king over among the cinders, crying, "It is the voice of my child, my precious Lily, my imperial kitten." The king, rubbing his nose, commented the queen's words with imperial fidelity. Now, there is one thing that it's a white pawn and it's actually an imperial kitten for the white queen. And it also has gotten a name, which is Lily. Interesting, isn't it? So the White King was annoyed and he called her words imperial fiddlestick, which means nonsense, stupid, idiot, etc. As he was annoyed at the queen, for he was just hurt and covered with ashes from head to toe. Alice, who was very anxious to be of any use, hastily picked up the queen and set her on the table by the side of her precious daughter, who was screaming herself out. Now, that imperial kitten Lily is also the daughter of White Queen as well. The queen grasped and sat down. Of course, you will grasp if someone just puts you to the table, which is high enough for you to fly. Back to the topic. She couldn't breathe as she was confused with the sudden trip through the air. For a minute or two, all she did was hug the little Lily in silence. As soon as she recovered her breath, she called out to the queen, who was sitting sulking among the ashes, "Mind the volcano!" Upon hearing the word volcano, the king anxiously looked into the fireplace, thinking that was the most likely place to find a volcano. "Clear me up," said the king while panting, and asked the king. Oh, sorry, it was supposed to be save the queen while panting and asked the king to come up the regular way and don't get blown up. Alice, who was watching the king struggling up from bar to bar, asked him if she should help him, but the king took no notice of her as she was invisible to him and any of the chess pieces. So Alice, trying to be nice, picked up the king and lifted him more slowly than the queen, so that he won't be out of breath. But at the same time, she also dust him because he was covered with ashes, and afterwards she describes the hilarious face of the king who was astonished to find himself in the middle of air and being dusted. She nearly let him drop upon the floor while laughing, and requests the king to not make funny faces because she won't be able to hold him because of laughter. She also tells him not to keep his mouth open as all the ashes will get into his mouth. Finally, she smoothed his hair and set him upon the table near the queen. The king immediately fell flat on his back because of the shock. Now, first, she lifted up the white queen, and secondly, when she tried to lift up the white king so that he won't be shocked, she did something very, very shocking to him. The king was very shocked and he immediately fell flat on his back. just because of all the dusting and dropouts and lift up. Wow. So Alice, realizing what she had done, went around the house to find water to throw over him. However, all she could find was a bottle of ink. As she got back with it, she found that the king had already recovered and was whispering to the queen in a frightened way, so low that Alice could hardly hear what to say. Now, there is one more thing written in here, that when Alice couldn't find any water, she brought ink, a bottle of ink. So was she trying to throw a bottle of ink to make the White King conscious? Yeah, comment down below, please. I need answers. Moving further, the king told the queen how he turned cold to the very ends of his whiskers, to which the queen replies that he haven't got any. Afterwards, the king says that he shall never forget the horror of the moment. The queen again replies that he will forget if he don't make a memorandum of it. The White King looks like he has amnesia. Now, Alice looked interested as the king took an enormous memorandum book out of his pocket and began writing. He suddenly took a hold of the end of the pencil, which came some way over to the king's shoulder. Just how big of a pencil was that? I'm sorry, moving further, and began writing for him. The poor, puzzled, and unhappy king struggled with the pencil for some time, as Alice was way too strong for him, and at last he panted out and told the queen that he must get a thinner pencil. He further mentions that he can't manage this pencil one bit, even though it manages all manners of things, to which the queen interrupts him by looking over the book in which Alice had put the white knife if sliding down the poker. He balances very badly, and saying that's not a memorandum of your feelings. As the queen was holding the king, Alice noticed a book lying near her on the table, and while she sat with it turning its pages, she found out that in the mirror world, words are written the wrong way, that is, in the opposite way. So she held the book up to a glass, and the words were in the right way again. You can do this as well, you know. I mean, in our world, all the words are written in the right way, so if we put the book in the mirror, it will go in the wrong way. This is the opposite of fallacy. Yeah, funny idea. I could do this. Now, this was a poem that Alice could read. Yeah, this was the first poem that appeared in the book. It was the Jabberwocky. Alice confused to herself that the poem was pretty, but it was rather hard to understand what it meant. But it filled Alice with ideas. However, the only thing that she could interpret was that someone killed something. Alice jumped out of her seat as she remembered that she had to tour the rest of the house before returning to her world. As she was out of the room in excitement and was about to run down the stairs, she found out she was floating gently on the stairs as well as through the hall, and only landed after holding the doorpost. She was getting a little giddy with so much floating, but was rather glad to find herself walking again in the natural way. So yes, we just completed chapter 1 of our book, The Looking Glass House. Yeah, this was rather long. A summary isn't supposed to be this long, and I suppose chapter 2 is also long like this, but yeah, I promise chapter 3 won't be this long. Yeah, I shouldn't be talking about chapter 3 right now. I haven't completed chapter 2 yet. Am I being very frank? Yes, I am. Anyways, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, stay connected. If you are subscribed to our channel, like it, and if you haven't subscribed it, subscribe it. Leave comments in the comment section down below and tell me how you liked it or how you hate it, and tell me about your ideas about the Looking Glass House, like how you want to enjoy the Looking Glass House, if you want to go inside the Looking Glass House, and etc. That's all for today, and until then, sign out.